So as you guys came in today, I had you write down the names of all the people that mean the most to you. So there's tons of names on here, too many for me to read all at once, but you can see the physical representation of the people in your life that mean anything to you, the people that matter, the people that, that you feel know you and you know them. It's an important thing to have people like this in your life. And I'm so excited to start this new series because it's all about that idea that life is personal. There's people in our lives that mean something to us. They matter, and it's important to, get to know the people that matter to you and have the people that matter to you know you. And it's difficult sometimes because relationships are hard, but it's incredibly important. And you know that somebody cares about you when they know you by name. When they know you by name and they can understand that there's something important about knowing your name and spelling it right. How many of you, when you go to the line at Starbucks and you order your coffee or whatever it is you get, how many of you are coffee drinkers? Not many of you. Okay. Well, you are the hope of the future because you're not addicts yet. But I am very much addicted to coffee. And anytime I go to Starbucks and they ask for my name and I tell them, 9 times out of 10, they spell my name just like this, Z-A-C-K. For those of you that don't know me, that's not my name. My name is Z-A-C-H. And it's not Zach. It's Zach. So get it right. And so sometimes they'll be like, is it an H on the end or a K? And sometimes it's like, is it just Z-A-C? Because that's a spelling. It's just no fourth letter, which is dumb. And I said, I'll tell them, no, it's actually with an H. Thanks for asking, right? And I secretly am actually happy that they ask rather than just guessing and being wrong, because most of the time they are. And it's not fun. And just like if you're in school and somebody is calling attendance and they say your name and roll, and it's wrong, and you're like, actually, it's Zach, not Zach. Any of you seen Substitute Teacher on YouTube? Yeah, it's funny. He says the name's all wrong. Anyway, so it's unfortunate when somebody says your name wrong, and it feels like they don't really know me, right? Something else that happened growing up is because my name is Zach, people would call me Zacchaeus. Is that short for Zacchaeus? Well, if you guys know the song, Zacchaeus was a what? And was he, right? No, my name is not Zacchaeus. It's like saying, hey, is that short for weak sauce? Right? Is that short for failure? Right? No, my name is not Zacchaeus. My name is Zach. Short for Zachary, which means that God has not forgotten. So it's more important than wee little man. Get it right. Right? And you know what it feels like when somebody messes up your name or butchers it or says it wrong and roll, even when it's a name that like nobody should get wrong, but somehow they get it wrong. And it's like, it's the most frustrating thing. It is personal because your name is very personal to you. And the people that matter to you should know your name. The reality is, all of us, everyone, we all want somebody to know our name. And this is really important. I know some of you feel like maybe you don't have enough people that know your name. And many of us honestly feel that way. Not many people know me. Not people, I feel misunderstood. How many of you have ever felt misunderstood by somebody before? It's horrible. It's hard. And so we all want somebody to know us by our name, but sometimes we feel like we don't have people that really know us. That they can't really understand us. And of course, the reality is, for those of us who call ourselves Christians, for those of us who follow and believe in God, the reality is, even if you don't believe in God yet, there is someone out there who does know you and knows you by name. Jesus knows each and every single one of us by name. And some of you, this is an easy topic. Some of you, it's a difficult topic. And for some of you, it's an unimportant topic. It doesn't really carry that much significance to your personal life yet, because maybe you've grown up hearing this truth that God knows you by name, and maybe that just sounds cliche now. Maybe that doesn't mean a whole lot. It doesn't carry a whole lot of weight, because of course God knows me by name, right? But then your life isn't actually changed by that truth, and it hasn't become personal for you yet. But He knows your name because to Him it is personal. He knows each and every one of you. Some of the scripture in the Bible says that He knows every hair on your head, Wouldn't it be kind of, how many of you would like to place bets on, this is how much hair I have on my head, and then you get to heaven and find out how close you are. I don't know. My mind goes weird places. But God knows each and every one of us personally. He knows us by name. He knows everything about us. And this is a big deal because to him, again, it is personal. I'm going to show you a little bit about what I mean, because today we're going to talk about somebody that interacted with Jesus, and it's somebody none other than, you ready for it? Zacchaeus. Yes, that's who we're talking about today. It's not how you spell my name, and it's like that. It's on the screen. There you go. That's how you spell Zacchaeus. As you see, he has 2 C's before the H. That's not how you spell my name. So, we're going to talk about Zacchaeus. Now, to kind of set the story for you, Jesus was coming into the town of Jericho. And as he's entering into town, there's tons of people that are following him. And that, see, Jesus at this point in his ministry, he's become a little bit of a name. Everybody follows him. Everybody wants to know about him. Seeing Jesus is a really big treat. It's like super important because at this point people have seen him heal people. They've seen him heal the sick, heal the blind. They've even seen him raise a man from death already at this point in his ministry. And they've also heard his teaching, which was changing lives and changing perceptions on how God actually does see you and how he is alive and active in your life. And so Jesus has been transforming the ancient world for a while now in his ministry. And so when Jesus is coming into town, into Jericho, everybody is flocking towards him. And as you know, Zacchaeus was a wee little man, and was he, right? And so because of that, he couldn't see, you see. So he decides to do what any normal person would do. Check this out. Zacchaeus... and this is Luke chapter 19, verse 2. A man was there by the name of Zacchaeus, and he was a chief tax collector and was wealthy. Now, just to give you a little bit of context, tax collectors, were they liked, were they disliked? Shout it out. What do you think? Disliked. How come? Because they stole your money, right? If you've been around church for very long, we've talked about those Pharisees and tax collectors and those sinners. You know kind of where each of those categories lie. Tax collectors was on the sinners side of the spectrum. Nobody liked them. They were traitors and they were cheaters. They're con artists. They would take things from you and they would go around and collect taxes on the behalf of the government and then take more than they needed to take just so that they could fill their own pockets. People didn't like tax collectors, but they were wealthy. Zacchaeus was a wealthy man. He was the worst, and nobody liked him. He probably knew it. And so Jesus comes to town, and he's probably feeling like the names of people that matter to him, there's probably a short list of names that matter to him. And so Jesus comes to town, and this is a big deal, right? So what's he do? If you know the song, he goes up and he climbs in a sycamore tree, right? Imagine this ladder is a sycamore tree. He comes up there and he decides, I'm gonna see this Jesus. I'm gonna see him right now. And so he goes up in the tree, and check out what happens in the next verse. When Jesus reached the spot, he looked up and said to him, Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house today. Now, so check out. This is important because if you've grown up in church and you've sung the song and you kind of know the story, you can gloss over some very important things that are happening here, okay? So imagine that you are at a concert right now, okay? And you're who would you like to go see in concert? Shout it out. Justin Bieber. Okay, so let's say you're at a Justin Bieber concert, and let's say you're head over heels for Justin Bieber. You have the Bieber fever. You are a believer, and all the cliches. And so you're at a Justin Bieber concert, and he's up there doing his thing, and in the middle of the concert, he looks you in the eye, and he goes, Isaac, how's it going? I'm going to come hang out with you after this. How's that feel? Yeah. Callie, you knew me. You said my name. I know your name. I'm coming to your house after this. How would that feel? You're at a concert. Maybe it's not Justin Bieber for you. Fill in the blank for whoever it is for you. But you're at their concert, or you're at a red carpet premiere of the movie that they're in, and Chris Pratt is up there for Jurassic World 3, and he comes and sits by you at the premiere, and he goes, want to hang out after this? Right? you'd be like, let me go change my underwear real quick, right? Because you've just wet yourself because you're that excited. Zacchaeus is sitting here, and Jesus, which is the ancient world equivalent of that, and this is before social media, this is before people could follow and have access to people, more often. This was the guy, the man, the legend, Jesus, who was coming to town, the healer, the teacher of truth, the representation of God here on earth. And he looks at you and he calls you by name. He calls Zacchaeus by name. Not only does he know Zacchaeus' name, but he calls his name out loud for everybody else in the crowd to hear him. Now, Zacchaeus, as a tax collector, knew that there were not very many people that liked him very much. And he probably knew that Jesus knew, if he knew his name, he knew all about him. But despite all that, Jesus knew his name, calls him out loud by name, and seems to not really care about his past and what he does, and wants to hang out with him anyway. This is kind of a big deal. And so Zacchaeus, probably stunned by all this, is thrilled. And it all started with a step. See, Zacchaeus was a wee little man, and a wee little man was he. So he had a problem when it came to experiencing Jesus. He couldn't even see him. So he takes a step and he climbs a tree. As ridiculous as it may sound, but he has a personal experience with Jesus because of his one step of faith to come closer and to climb that tree. And the reality is that Jesus does know each and every one of us by name. And he knows us personally, because to him this is personal. So remember that Zacchaeus was not popular, right? Many of you, I think, sometimes get stuck in maybe the unpopularity of your past decisions. And I don't know where all of you are, but I know, based on my own experience and based on just the human experience in general, that we each have done things we're not proud of. And the idea of Jesus knowing us personally is a little bit scary, because it means he knows the good, the bad, and the ugly about each and every one of us. But in that moment, Jesus communicated what he saw in Zacchaeus was different than what the rest of the world thought of him or saw him. What he saw Zacchaeus was, in the way that he looked at him, was different than the rest of the world did. And I want you to know, no matter what people have said to you, no matter what you've said to yourself and the lies in your head, Jesus sees you differently than those things. He sees you differently than the way we beat ourselves up. He sees us differently than the way that other people have torn us down. Some of us have very deep-rooted wounds from the ways that other people have torn us down. And you got to know that Jesus sees you differently than that. It's personal because Jesus knows your name. He knows you personally. And this is a really big deal. So, like I said, Zacchaeus, one step was climbing a tree, okay? What is that next step for you? Taking one step for you in order to know more about Jesus. Maybe you don't feel like it's very personal because you don't know much about him, or you don't know him very well. And so maybe this seems unimportant to you, that it's personal because of that very fact, that you don't know much about him or you don't know him very well. And I would encourage you to begin with taking one step towards knowing more about Jesus. And maybe for you, it's literally not just climbing a tree, but maybe for you, it's something different. Maybe it's reaching out to somebody who does care about you, who cares also about Jesus, who is able to help you know him more, do a study with you, or just talk through life with you. So much of, I feel like we discount spiritual conversations that are just talking about life in general. But when we talk about our lives with humility, maybe we're vulnerable a little bit because we share more than what maybe we're comfortable sharing. When we're authentic, and we're sharing our life experiences with somebody who is able to talk through those things with you, who is a devoted follower of Jesus, who maybe has walked through the paths of life before you, and can give you some insight, God steps into those conversations and he works. So take one step towards knowing more about Jesus. And secondly, I want you to remember that because of what Jesus did for you, you can do the same for others. Jesus went out of his way to call Zacchaeus by name. He calls each and every one of us by name. In fact, he called your name when he went on that cross 2,000 years ago and died for you. In fact, the night before the crucifixion, and he was praying in the Garden of Gethsemane, he was praying for the future church. You can go and look it up in the book of John. And he prays for the believers and for the church who are going to come after him. Even back then, he had each and every one of us in mind. So, and because of what Jesus did for you, you can do the same for others. You can call others by their name. You can know them for who they are. And you can take a step towards relationship with others. Jesus doesn't just invite us into a relationship with them. He invites us to know everybody else's names alongside him. Check this out. This is Matthew chapter 22, verses 37, 39. It says, Jesus replied, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. This is the first and the greatest commandment. The second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. So first, love God. Okay. Second, love others. Make it personal to those around you. To get to know those around you. When we know someone's name and we use it to talk to them or about them, it gives them the same feeling that God loves you and God knows you. You love them and you know them. And the first step to loving others well is to pursuing an active faith and a relationship with God, because for him it is personal, and when it becomes personal for you, it changes your life. It changes your relationships. It changes the way that the whole world could look, because it starts with just one. It starts with you. If there was no Paul, there would be no New Testament. If there was no Jesus, there would be no salvation. And just like you, God has something very special and unique, a purpose in store for each and every one of you. And maybe without you, there is no relationship with God for other people. Make it personal for you, because God has made it personal. It's personal because Jesus knows your name. So, as you guys get ready to go into your small groups, I want you to think about this. How does it make you feel when someone knows you by your name? Just reflect on that. We've been talking about it this whole lesson. Think about that question, and then I want you to discuss this a little bit more in depth in your small group. So let me pray for you guys, and you'll be dismissed.